were in the class and everybody was really enthusiastic, and he said, how many people want to be actors? And everybody raised their hand. I mean, everyone. There must have been 14, 15 people in the class. And he says, well, you know, you have to work hard every day. Every day. And few hands went down. He's like, you know, you can go on an audition every single day for 6 weeks. You can have 5 auditions a day and never get a job. Then more hands went down. My hand was the only one up. And he kept going for a good 10 minutes. You know, your family's not going to understand it. The rejection that you have to embrace. People are not really going to embrace what you do. Do you still want to be an actor? And let me tell you something. Not only my hand didn't go from this to this. My hand stayed up there.
To act wherever you can. You can't be picky. You really have to act wherever you can and wherever you get a chance to act. And that might even be just in an audition room. This is something a teacher told me years ago, and he's right. Even if you're auditioning for something that you know you're never going to get, or you might have read it and you might not even have liked it, but you know that you have to go, that if you get a chance to act in a room that somebody else has paid rent for, then you're given a free chance to practice your craft. And in that moment, you should act as well as you can, because if you leave the room or the theater or wherever you are and you've acted as well as you can, there's no way that the people who've watched you will forget it. And that was something that somebody told me a long time ago, and I do think that's the only advice, because it's always about that. It's always about the work at the end of the day. Everybody knows that. Absolutely. If I show up to work one day and the work I'm doing isn't any good, I'm just a guy who's not acting well. I mean, I'm a guy who's not acting well, you know, and you're just always back to that moment. You're always back to that moment where you have to act as well as you can. And I would say to anybody starting out, is like, if you're given a chance to act, take those words and bring them alive. And if you do that, something will transpire ultimately.
This is my life. I am an actor because of theater. Not many people knows this in America, because I obviously I didn't do American theater or theater in English for that matter. And it took me a while to take this decision. I was offered actually 4 years ago, and I said no. Not only just because of the English and because of the fact of getting on the stage in a musical, which is another add thing to the whole entire problem, but because of the respect, tremendous respect that I feel for the people of Broadway. I am an actor because of musicals. I've been saying this in interviews since I arrived to America 12 years ago. Hair, this superstar. Those are the plays that, for me, they taught me that theater was not only literature, something that I learned in school that was cold and distant. When I saw those plays, I thought, oh my God, this is something that actually has something to do with me. And it has its own entity. It doesn't belong to literature, it doesn't belong to movies, it doesn't belong, it's another type of thing. And the ritual was the thing that made me jump to the other side of the mirror and said, I want to just tell stories like these guys are doing to me. And, you know, and that was the thing. But, so it's very interesting. I've been saying that in some interviews now in New York, but I feel home. It's very strange because I don't belong to New York. I don't definitely belong to Broadway.
You do now.
Yeah, you've been embraced.
Yeah. But I feel home. I feel like there is an international language.
I've always wanted to be accepted for all of me, for the moments that I was acting like a little girl or feeling like a little girl, and for the moments that I was also very opinionated, very powerful, aggressive, shy. I didn't want to be put in a bag, in a rut, you know, in a tunnel. Well, if you're a singer, you should sing, don't act. If you're an actress, don't think about producing. If you produce, how could you possibly direct, you know? I don't want any tunnels. I want to be able to exercise my muscles, you know. I want to be able to grow, to stretch, to be all that I can be. And I don't like to be told that's impossible.
I have a full experience. Like the film is never going to live up to the experience that I had, that I felt. Right, a scene. If there are 5 different ways that I'm playing the scene, right, I'm having like the feeling associated with that. And when the movie one is selected, it'll never live up to what the experience was like, right? It's like, it's so exciting on set. It's you know, I love being in movies so much, and I guess watching it is just not satisfying. And yeah, I can't help but think I made a mistake. I mean, years later, I think back on movies that I made 5 years ago. I go, I screwed that up. I can't believe I did. That was the wrong way to. You know what? Like I never feel like I come to a full understanding of the character. Right? It's something that I'm always trying to figure out, and even sometimes after the movie is done.
6 months leading up to the filming, it didn't play with my head. I was very much in control of the chaos, and I feel that I was in control of the chaos the whole time. I mean, there is a discipline to chaos. You have to harness your passion in a way that allows you to be present and free on set. And also, then once we started filming, what was challenging was feeling the real life symptom.
I could do this if I put my mind to it. That I could get through, 2 hours of singing, even though my first night in LA was the first time I ever went through singing 22 songs. But what I'm saying, it's mind over matter so much of the time. That belief in yourself in some way, and I'm filled and consumed with self-doubt too. So that's the opposite end of the scale. It's balanced. It has to be balanced. You can't be just, overwhelmed with security. It's a tug.
Some actors work cerebrally, some work physically. I like to work physically a lot of times. It helps me feel like, clothes, putting on certain clothes can give you a feeling of another character, which it does to actual people who are characters. It helps them identify with the role that they want to play in life, be a businessman or whatever they want to, And one thing can give it to you. A walk can give it to you. Just that one walk, you can play that one thing through a whole play or a movie, and it can do it.
I like repetition. There's a saying goes, repetition keeps me green.
Yeah.
I love that saying.
Repetition keeps me green.
Keeps me green, because fresh.
Right.
Because the idea that we do performances over and over again, you would say, well, doesn't that get boring or stale? But no, it's in the repetition that the creation comes, that the expression comes. Because I'll give you an example. I was doing Richard once, not particularly well, and this show was going on. And we couldn't get this court scene with a lot of people in it. I didn't understand what I was doing in the scene. So we would call rehearsals. We would rehearse it and stuff. And we would talk about it, think about it, like all this kind of work where people together are trying to figure out something. And the 85th performance of Richard, I did it on my 85th entrance. I knew the court scene. I understood it. I was there. I could play it.
But not in 84.
Not in 84. I might have been getting closer, didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I gave up the ghost, I guess. I just gave it up and said, oh, screw it, it's not going to happen, and I'll just keep going on. And I found it.
What I do remember vividly was what it felt like to shoot the first time. And it's a feeling that I've been chasing since, right? There's nothing like it. I remember it was on a TV show, and me and my sister were casting it. My brother River was on the show. It was called Seven Brides for Seven Brothers.
Oh yeah.
And there was a guest spot, and me and my sister were hired, probably because we were local and it was the cheapest, easiest way. But I remember shooting this scene, and two of the characters have a fight, in front of us, and it was meant to be very dramatic and intense. And who knows how it looks now, but at the time, being that age, I remember feeling it, absolutely feeling it as if it was real, as if it was happening. And I remember when we cut just this, just my body was crackling with energy. And it was the most exciting thing that I'd ever experienced. And that is the feeling that I search for every time I work. There are these moments where everything seems to stop and you're absolutely just in that moment. And I love it.
Something about the theater that really keeps your feet on the ground. You know, it's a family, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You come in, you have a rehearsal process where you get to know each other. You get to know what you're doing. You get to know it from beginning, middle to the end. You get to become involved with the entire piece.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, dancers are workhorses anyhow. You know, the harder they work, the more they're in the rehearsal hall, the safer they feel, the more complete they feel. And I mean, people used to ask all the time with West Side or with Birdie or any of those shows, did you know at the time that that was going to be a big hit or something? You don't even think about that. You're so busy.
You're working.
Working.
Yeah.
You never even think about that, and they're quite surprised, which is kind of funny. So, I mean, I would never switch my process, whether my life. I would still rather have come from the theater, you know, and it looks like it's where I'm staying.